What is something unrealistic that you often see in movies that annoys the hell out of you? People climbing through ductwork to get in between rooms. Most ducts are not big enough for a person to fit in. Attorneys pacing around during a trial and attorneys approaching the judge without asking. My personal favorite is when a new, damning piece of evidence or witnesses is presented in the middle of trial to the complete surprise of the opposing party. Like, sorry buddy, but discovery deadline was a month ago. You should know this. Women waking up and going to sleep with a full face of makeup. Turning on the TV and what they needed to hear is on TV in the right channel at the right time. Always being able to take off work to go on last vacations and always having the money for last minute flights. People taking their eyes off the road for like 5 seconds. Whenever someone is working on a vehicle, they are quite often using a pipe wrench or huge crescent wrench. Neither are going to get you too far working on a vehicle. Blows to the head, knocking someone out for exactly as long as is convenient for the plot with no long-term consequences whatsoever. Even otherwise realistic shows and movies are guilty of this. In reality, and blow to the head strong enough to knock you out is likely to cause brain damage or even death. Immediate DNA results. Walking up to a microphone and it squeals feedback. Always. In reality, that shouldn't happen. Unless the sound person is a moron. Rom-coms. Not just explaining their motives or actions. Action. Thriller. Not lying when they have a gun to their head. It's always say nothing or the truth in an interrogation scene. People with long hair. Often women. Fighting with their hair down. Grip strength. People hanging off of anything. One-handed. For long times. Holding on to other people. Pulling themselves up. General population can't do a pull-up. The food. The poor. Long. Suffering food. No one eats it. No one enjoys it. People go to restaurants primarily to order something. Have it arrive. And then have an argument and storm out. Eater. Now already in this comment thread many times. 1. Food is a nightmare to shoot for continuity. Quality. Actors getting full reasons. 2. Yes. We all hate the someone cooks an epic breakfast and someone else just runs through and grabs a piece of toast scene. And it's always toast. And what psychopath eats a whole piece of dry toast without anything to wash it down? 3. Yes. Brad Pitt eats. And Chris Pratt. Women shipwrecked wearing sleeveless tops and not having underarm hair. Next time you see two characters having a conversation in the front of a car, pay attention to the rear view mirror. More often than not, it's been removed for a cleaner shot of the characters. Any movie where the villain who is beating the crap out of the hero decides to brag or monologue before killing them, which gives the hero enough time for a sneak attack or for somebody else to intervene. There is obviously no coffee in the cup. The beatings people take, and how quickly they get up from devastating blows. That autistic kids are either dumb as duck or they are like the next step in evolution. Need a guy out of plot for a little while. Why not just hit him on the head really hard? Yeah. He'll probably just have a nap and a 10-second headache when he wakes up. Courtroom confessions. But also just courtroom scenes in general. First, nobody confesses to a crime while on the witness stand at somebody else's trial. Nobody. Second, have you been to court? It's 97% waiting around, 2% wondering if you have time to go to the bathroom, and 1% anything to do with you or your case. Bad guy receives a mortal wound like a point-blank gunshot to the torso or deep knife wound, and just lays there bleeding profusely for a minute with the protagonist immediately forgetting about them. Then is able to somehow stand up and have like an 8-round boxing match with the protagonist before finally being finished off. When people slice the palm of their hand open for a drop of blood, that crap will take forever to heal. Just prick your finger. Damn. In medieval fantasy, whenever there is a siege weapon they fire one shot and then charge. Like, Which it took you a month to erect that trebuchet, and you're only going to fire it once. During the siege scene in The King they sat around for days and days hurling stones at the castle until the wall finally fell, and I was like yes, thank you. Empty cups and cans and suitcases. For crying out loud. Just put some water in that Starbucks cup. Give our brains a little help ignoring the glaring ignorance to the laws of fluid dynamics, gravity, and the human musculoskeletal system. Working as a waitress, or some other near minimum wage, poverty wage job, and having excessive time off, and money and things like huge houses. Duckers who yank out their fourths. Tugged on mine once, and I ducking cried. Complete lack of legal consequences. I need to kill the time traveling baddie by stealing this cop's gun and knocking him out. Yay, I succeeded. What do you mean? I'm now under arrest for multiple felonies including murder and assaulting a police officer. Gunshot to the leg and they can still walk. One to the lungs and they're breathing fine. One in the heart and they either die instantly or spend a whole minute talking. It is 10 to 20 seconds, not 6 minutes. Translating an ancient text, but then it still rhymes. The standard car flips over 5 times and catches on fire, and every single ducking time, Vin Diesel walks out unscathed. Somebody writing flawless code in 60 seconds. When someone obviously lies, stammering and umming and ahhing and looking this way and that, and everyone in the audience can see they are lying, but the person they are lying to, staring them in the face from 2 feet away, completely believes them. Silencers do not mute the gun. It only makes the sound more tolerable. How it takes less than a week to develop a vaccine for a global pandemic, and by a brilliant scientist who was kicked out of their institution for being too radical. No cleanup after X or before. How mature the high school students look. Have you ever looked at a high school yearbook? Heroes never reloading their weapons. Finding car keys hidden behind the car's sun visor. I don't know a single real human who has ever used this method when stashing keys. Never saying goodbye, or equivalent. When finishing a phone call, they just hang up. Also, making plans with someone without specifying the time, man, or place. So no one's gonna talk about how in a 1vs5-6 fight scene all the attackers wait for their turn to get their ass kicked by the alpha guy one by one, and not attacking him altogether. People googling exactly what's happening to them and getting the answers they're looking for. Happens a lot in scary movies. A house is being haunted by the ghost of a tall man, and the owners Google tall man ghost and find exactly the article that explains who the ghost is and what happened to him. I need information from this computer. Tech guy runs over and starts hammering wildly on the keyboard. I'm in. The keyboard is plugged into his box, and the OS is Windows 2000. When some stranger comforts or distracts a kid from something horrible with some bullcrap, the kid just saw their mom get eaten by a werewolf. A toy train and the hero hugging them does nothing. I also hate how most kids act like drugged up placid morons. Blowing up a grainy picture makes it clearer. Fighters wearing heels. Especially if it's the majority of them. It's not that you can't learn to run in them. It's just it seems pointless to wear something while fighting that not only works against you, it causes long-term damage to your heel while actively moving in the medit. Also, RIP their feet for any stunt people that couldn't use normal shoes for those scenes. How bullets are flying all over and the good guys don't get hit once. The fight or flight response doesn't seem to exist in horror movies. If I come across a friend's dead body in the woods, my first instinct isn't to investigate the scene. I'm getting the duck out of there and calling the police. Edit. In the context that the presence of a killer is there. Guns with infinite ammo. Guns that magically do whatever you need them to at that moment. Fancy door won't open. Shoot the door's control panel. Door won't close. Shoot the control panel. Need to stop a countdown. Shoot it until it stops. Need to make a crane drop something. but don't know how to operate it? Do you have a gun? Oh hey op, who I went to college with, as an ethno-biologist from a tough upbringing in the urban center of Chicago, where I kept my nose in the books and stayed out of trouble so I could be the first from my family to go to college. I hate expository dialogue. In a horror movie, everyone acts insanely stupid. No one ever believes each other. They go outside to investigate a loud noise when there's been a string of murders, etc. The inaccuracies about how the hero jumps from a great height and is unharmed. How they escape out of hospitals or treat their wound themselves. It's impossible, literally FFS. Nobody seems to need to use the bathroom frequently or even eat food over long periods of time. People drinking vast amounts of alcohol, then appearing perfectly fine in the next scene. Look at Raiders of the Lost Ark. Marion out. Drinks an Nepalese person that's twice her size. Okay fine. But then she goes on to cleaning the bar and helping Indy in a firefight without a sign of being impaired. Horses neighing. All the time. You can clearly see they are not. They have no reason to, and yet, they keep on neighing. Morning breath doesn't exist. How defibrillators are used to restart a person's heart. They don't, they only help to re-establish a regular heartbeat. In most sitcoms or series, how come nobody works? They sit around at the coffee shop all day or they're at each other's apartments or out on some crazy excursion. And they always have more than enough money. Except Joey. He's always broke. Lol. All CPR scenes. It is not realistic at all. Every one of the women that Adam Sandler ends up with, living in big houses, apts, while working has a server. When someone asks for a beer, they never specify what kind of beer they want, but the bartender always seems to give them the right one. When they try to casually slip in something that you just know will be crucial later on in the film, like someone saying to the hero, "How's that online course in lockpicking going?" You know he'll be picking a lock at some point later. This hasn't been mentioned yet. Makeup on women in space. Really? That astronaut's first thought upon waking up is to put eyeliner and mascara on. She has no more important stuff to do than to apply. Then take makeup off. Daily. So stupid. Dressing room montages. You waited for the last possible minute to buy that outfit you need. It's going to change your life. You're not going to be laughing and goofing around in the dressing room. You're going to be going, "It doesn't fit," while your mom stands outside the door saying, "Do you think a different size would work? Do you want me to ask if they have a 12? No, I hate it. There's nothing here. I'll never find anything. I'm not going to the prom." Well, look, sweetie, I found this one in a 10. Do you like this one? In historical movies, when the actors have perfect white teeth, everything ending well, it doesn't annoy me like crazy. Though, I'm just not happy when there are terrible decisions that yield no negative consequence. Everyone has breakfast together before heading off to work. School to get an early start and the level of sunlight outside indicates it's about 1:35 p.m. Edit. Holy crap. This blew up. Thanks everyone. Generic bird song noises from birds that aren't even remotely native to the area. Yeah.